Good day, fellow book readers, and welcome to another fun-filled installment of Kenan Kel with Adam and Aaron. I'm often referred to by those in the know as Adam.
And I am in the dark. I have no idea what's happening. And my name is Aaron.
We are joined by one of our most fantastic fantas, Wesley Mead.
Hey guys, pleasure to be with you guys again. I can't believe it's been 2 whole years.
2 whole years too long.
we had a close encounter with you all that time ago.
Oh boy.
I remember that episode fondly. I remember where I was. I remember what I ate for dinner. And I remember feeling like I was so fulfilled after that conversation that it lasted me 2 years, Wesley.
It was a good time all round, you know. I mean, I've been dining out on that podcast appearance for 24 whole months now, but it's time to re-up.
Well, funny enough, we had first met even before your appearance on there by talking about these Kenan and Kel books.
Exactly.
Our topic today.
We did. Such a fun conversation. You messaged me saying, Wesley, you're the only person on the internet who seems to have read all of these Kenan and Kel books. I'm like, guess what? I'm one of the, like, at the time, 50 or 60 people that followed you on Twitter.
Yeah, it was a crazy, like, you know, a Spider-Man pointing at each other moment.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was brilliant.
We had you on, and now we're kind of, completing the circle and finally talking about these books and the kind of the other Kenan and Kel content. There's Kenan and Kel experiences and adventures that only exist in print form.
There sure are.
Some for the better, some for the worse.
Agreed.
So Wesley's read all the books. You read a crazy amount of books, if I'm not mistaken. Yes?
Hey, you've been paying attention to my Goodreads account more than I expected. Yeah,
that's your most active social account, right? The Goodreads.
It truly is. I mean, you know, I think last time I kind of introduced myself as a general kind of pop culture connoisseur, and books have been figuring into that in a major way the last couple years. I will say the Kenan and Kel books are not among the best I've read, but, you know, we'll dig in. Maybe there's some good stuff in there.
So you've read them all. I've read one and skimmed a couple.
And I have read none, like most of you out there. So I, in this podcast, am representing the normal... maybe not normal.
How dare you?
I am representing the average Joe, if you will.
Yeah. Your questions are going to be very valuable.
I am the average Joe, not in the know.
Not in the know, Joe.
Yeah.
All right, but before we go much further, I have some quick Kenan and Kel news. So last time, Aaron, we had a fun discovery of the sport slam ball.
We have not only discovered slam ball, we have invested in slam ball.
We're fully embraced the sport of slam ball.
Is there an official fantasy league, or are we starting one?
We have a soft fantasy league going on right now with a couple close friends. Wesley, I had my bachelor party recently, and we watched slam ball during it.
I love it. That's amazing.
Adam figured there need to be sports involved in a bachelor party, and what greater sport to bring everybody together.
I love that you managed to find a way to tie in even your bachelor party to your fandom. Truly in all of you.
Slam ball has its 6th inaugural season coming up on ESPN and I think ESPN Plus.
And just so everybody heard that correctly, that's the 6th inaugural season. So that is the 6th time that slam ball has started, rebooted. And Wesley, we made a discovery about one of the slam ball coaches. The one and only Coach Carter is a slam ball coach.
Whoa.
Now, that's like
amazing.
Samuel L. Jackson Coach Carter, like the ones that, you know, legends are told about.
That's amazing.
He
Wow.
coaches slam ball, and he's a great coach.
Yeah.
You guys break all the big stories on here. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Perhaps we may be talking to a slam ball coach in the near future here.
If we can talk to Coach Carter, man, about slam ball, that would be awesome.
Is Coach Carter still active?
Let me find out. Adam, I just need to bring something to everybody's attention. This will be a future collaboration of ours, I'm sure. Bounce Off, a slam ball podcast, has just launched. There are 18 subscribers on YouTube. So everybody go give my friend Sam Roberts over there, at Quantum Roberts, a follow.
Yeah, I've actually heard Sam Roberts' work, and he does an excellent job covering the slam ball stats.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure we're all aware. He does mention Coach Carter. We can continue.
So the other big news item, Good Burger 2 has finished filming. They had a wrap party. And just in time, because we have officially begun the SAG strike. All the actors marched out of Oppenheimer premiere today in solidarity for the Screen Actors Guild and I believe it was the American Film Associates that are going on strike right alongside the writers. It's similar kind of conditions that the Writers Guild was. They want to protect their jobs from kind of upcoming AI stuff. And, a lot of people think that, like, oh, you're a movie star. You make all the big bucks. And while that's true to the kind of top 1% of actors and stuff, your Harrison Fords and Samuel L. Jacksons and things, but the large majority of actors are getting less and less residuals as the years go on. They're struggling to get by, largely due to streaming. So they're fighting to get better rights when it comes to that kind of stuff. And we here at the Kenan Kel with Ab and Aaron podcast support them fully.
100% solidarity from the UK too.
All right, this is a global effort of support.
Enough with the news. Let's get to the old print.
Let's get back to the original news.
We have 5 books that we're going to be talking about today in the Kenan and Kel saga, the Kenan and Kel series.
5 books we're talking about, but others were lost in the fires of Alexandria. And those are well, I'm sure we'll get into those. Let's maybe name the books.
We have FranKELstein, Summer Vacation, Westward Woe, A Lions, and Kel Got Game. So, Wesley, as our book expert, is there a good starting point in your opinion?
I mean, the short answer is no. But the first of these 5 books to be published, following, I guess we should briefly mention there were 2 prior Kenan and Kel books to this, and they are just adaptations of regular episodes of the show, so they don't really merit any additional discussion.
We've experienced those stories.
Exactly. So the first of these published was A Lions. They really went all out with that title.
Aaron, I don't know if you've seen this, but it's...
Yes. It's a small capital A, and then very large L-I-E, and then a it's a small capital N-S.
Yeah. So
I wonder what it's about.
Aaron, as someone who's not experienced the story, what is your thoughts based off this cover alone?
I am going to suggest that. Well, I did read the brief description.
Oh, well, you know all about it then.
I might understand the plot a little bit, but I have a feeling it's about aliens and Kenan and Kel. Which is a crossover, frankly, I have been wanting.
The public demanded it.
Yeah, that's why I was the first one on the press. They're like, we need to get these hard-hitting answers.
I mean, I'm thinking about that Drake and Josh episode with the aliens in the backyard.
It also comes to mind, yes.
And I just, of course they got the idea from this.
Aaron, a fun thing that you might not know about these books is that they start and end with like an intro and outro like the show does. And basically, it's Kenan and Kel doing dialogue back and forth. I will say something about the author of the books, Steve Holland, who wrote some a number of things. Notably, he did work on the Big Bang Theory nowadays, but he wrote a couple episodes of Kenan and Kel. His dialogue for Kenan and Kel is impeccable. It's perfect. It's what they would say on the page. Like, the voice is right there. Every time I read a Kenan line, it sounds like Kenan. A Kel line sounds like Kel.
I would totally agree. The dialogue is easily the strength of these books. There are a lot of gags in here that feel very true to the series. There are other elements which don't work so well. Throughout, I guess you could argue, and this book is a good place to start, that they're taking advantage of the fact they don't have to, they're not bound by the constraints of a multi-camera sitcom.
Right.
The downside, that doesn't always prove to be a good thing, though. Some of these settings and plots get a little too outlandish and absurd, even by Kenan and Kel standards.
Agreed wholeheartedly, based off the one I read, which will be a secret. It wasn't aliens. We'll see what it is.
Shall I give a kind of, a 60-second capsule summary of how this plot goes down?
Feel free to take a little bit longer if you need it. But yeah, let's all sit here and experience the lie of aliens.
Adam, I have a feeling he suggested 60 seconds for a very specific reason.
Hey, I wrote over a full page of notes for each of these bad boys, so I could go a full 10 minutes apiece if you want me to.
Well, take us down the journey. We'll stop you if something comes up.
That's reasonable. As Adam said, all of these books start on stage as such, and Kenan and Kel make fun references to the fact that they're in a book in this context. So in A Lions, we have Kel suggesting that the audience put on a shirt while they read this book. He's unhappy with our clothing as we sit there, presumably in our pants, on our bed reading this book. We open Video Schmidio, video arcade. It's kind of in medias res, Kel playing an arcade game called Alien Attack. We actually jump right into the action of the game. Maybe it would fool an 8-year-old. I think as an adult reading these books, it's pretty obvious that in about half a page's time, we're going to figure out that Kel's just playing a video game. The Earth is not under attack from aliens at this stage. They're hanging out at this arcade that sells pizza on a stick. I guess that's the craziest food that Steve Holland could come up with. I mean, back in the 90s, that was maybe that was outrageous. Now I don't know. I think you could come up with something crazier.
I see pizza on a stick on TikTok about once a week.
Right?
Do you really?
It's not,
what is it, rolled up,
really.
like from tip to crust?
It's like a lollipop is what I'm picturing.
It's interesting because this arcade had previously attempted liver on a stick, but that didn't go down so well. Fun fact, every one of these books makes a reference to liver as a food in some form or other. Running joke.
Yeah.
So Kel takes a bite of this pizza. He burns his mouth on it. Kenan pours soda on him to cool him down. It ends up on the arcade machine instead. And Kenan and Kel get banned from the arcade, is the short version. Kel starts to worry about how he will now learn to defend Earth from aliens. We're back at Rigby's. And Kel's been reading UFO Today, which is the second worst selling magazine in Rigby's, beating out only Castor Oil Weekly.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. I like it. So according to UFO Today, aliens live among us. They want to turn humans into pets. Kel thinks that the wrinkly old lady, who then enters the shop looking for food, is an alien, per the article in the magazine that describes aliens as wrinkly and old looking. He attacks her. Chaos ensues. At the same time, Kenan's continuing to peruse the magazine, and he spots an article that suggests that they will pay a $5,000 reward for evidence of a real alien.
Okay, I can envision this episode, which is a great...
I was just about to say, this feels like a deep oral tradition of Kenan and Kel.
Yeah.
I'm on the play yard, no one's... There's an episode that a friend saw and is telling me of.
I'm around an orange flame as we sip our orange soda, and eat our pizza on a stick.
And so, as seeing this article, certainly Kenan starts scheming, right?
That's how it goes, right? Kenan sees this as a great opportunity. They head home, and Kenan and Kel start to take photos outside of an alien spaceship that Kenan's built out of hubcaps and lights. And unfortunately, Kel has contributed parts of the kitchen toaster and tap. Kel hangs this spaceship, quote unquote, from a tree, but unfortunately, a squirrel drops some acorns on him as he's holding it in place. At the very same moment, Roger, who has been receiving a green face mask from Kyra at the same time, exits the house. The spaceship topples onto Roger, and they get these perfectly timed photos of Roger looking angry and green with a blurry spaceship in the background, and Kel falling from the tree at the same time. Just wonderful timing
that's
there.
Amazing.
This is very good. This sounds
very... I don't know what you guys are talking about, that these books are bad. I mean, this is like the script of an episode.
To be fair, so far it is. I mean, so far it does feel like it exists within the confines of the Kenan and Kel universe.
And I think an issue that these books have is that it's a book length. It's not a 22-page like script, so they kind of have to start beefing it up.
We get some padding, and we get some kind of. They attempt to make things bigger and better than they might be on screen, and it doesn't necessarily pan out. But I will say that's kind of the first third of the book there, and as a standalone story, that works pretty well. You could see that being the end of a Kenan and Kel episode.
Right.
So they get these perfectly timed photos. They take them to 18.5-minute photo to develop using the Developer-Matic 3000. So we're very much in 1998 here.
In line with all the other tech in Kenan and Kel.
Forget 2000.
Rob Renner, a worker there, he has cotton in his ears to defend from the noise of the machine, so there's a fun little back and forth where Kenan and Kel are trying to get his attention. He sees the alien photo as he's developing them. He sees Kel levitating, Roger's green, and there's a full moon, and he calls someone who at that point we don't know who they are. He says, "Go to Code Red." Ooh, and it's kind of a cliffhanger chapter ending. Kenan and Kel get a copy of the photo regardless. They take the photos to UFO Today HQ directly. Magazine editor Ernie Gillis likes the photos. He promises them the $5,000, but unfortunately he gets them to sign a contract that they don't really understand. And the short version is he scams them. He gives them a check, but the check is bad. Okay, they don't get the $5,000. They do make it to the cover of UFO Today. Unfortunately, he's kind of made up a story. The lies that Kenan and Kel told him, he's got even more outlandish. The headline on the front is "Aliens are real. They took me and my friend." And the article describes Kel's account of him being abducted and taken to Planet Broccoli. Kenan is not happy, and unfortunately the story gets picked up by a local TV news reporter called Kerry Weathers, who hosts an Out of This World segment on the local news daily.
I'd love if my local news station had a sci-fi section.
I'd love that, just like every week investigating UFOs, aliens, conspiracies.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I like that idea.
We kind of skip a few days here. People are getting more and more interested in this story. And so Kenan and Kel are forced to host a press conference a week later at Rigby's to tell their story in full to all of the many national press outlets who are interested in what's going on. Kenan intends to tell the truth. Unfortunately, just at the wrong moment, Kel cuts in and says the only inaccuracy was that they were missing the games night element, during which he played Twister and Hangman with the alien. Kel doubles down and says the aliens are coming back that Friday night. They told him. And Kerry from Out of This World Local News wants the exclusive interview. Naturally following this, the Rockmore house and their entire street is overtaken by all manner of UFO and alien nuts, including a man named Harold Zulowitz who tears Roger's shirt off as a souvenir. Roger is unhappy. Another reason to get angry with Kenan and Kel.
A Steve Holland staple that you'll see in all these books is, I would call them odd secondary characters. They have wacky names. They usually have like one bit.
Yeah,
and that's their thing.
That's a great point. That's a good call out. There's 3, 4, 5 of these per book. Often they appear in only one chapter, and yet they're still given the most detailed backstory. It's quite funny.
And descriptions.
Yeah.
I will say there's a third character as well as Kenan and Kel in these books. It's called Prose. And his prose introduces a new comedy voice that does not match perfectly with the rest of the series. And it's usually it's the 8-year-old audience that will probably get a kick out of it. And being my 30-year-old self was not as entertained by his words.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, it's clear that these are ultimately chapter books aimed at like middle grades. I don't think these were ever really intended to be consumed by anyone older than 11 or 12 years old. So as much as the dialogue is spot on, the prose is kind of questionable and childish and silly.
He's a very wannabe Lemony Snicket, like in terms of he wants to makes really fun like sentences and paragraphs, and I'm mostly reading it. I was like, just get me to the Kenan and Kel dialogue, because I got some examples later. They sound like spot on.
Kenan and Kel escape from all the kind of hectic ruckus that's happening on the street. There's hundreds of people out there in disguise. Unfortunately, they're intercepted by our friend Rob Renner, who was working at the 18.5-minute photo. Rob and his gang of friends, cronies, we're not told who they are at this point, takes them to a comfortable government interrogation room with fake fur handcuffs. And Renner reveals to them that he's from the Federal Association of People Who Try to Find Alien Life, or FAOPWTTFAL. Turns out hundreds of these people work in photo shops across the country to intercept snaps.
Wow. Hey, what a great, I like that conspiracy writing.
You were expecting a Men in Black twist, were you?
Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
As the first book, it feels like, oh yes, there's a bigger world that we can see through the pages.
Totally, yeah, no, that's completely right. This is the kind of first time they branch out beyond our regular settings that we see in the show. Something that they will do a lot more in the subsequent books. So this gang of people from the Federal Association try the nicely approach with Kenan and Kel. They try to get the truth about this alien. Roger and Cheryl Rockmore at the same time have also been intercepted, and they get the classic not-so-nice method of interrogation. But both sets of them break out independently anyway. They don't put a lot of effort into explaining how they managed to break away. Turns out Kenan and Kel, their handcuffs have been left unlocked. Roger's just able to break through the handcuffs.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. Exactly. So all of them meet up and leave together in one of the many white vans that are in the basement of this federal office. The following evening, Kenan outlines his plan to Kel and family. He intends to blind the crowd of people who are waiting for the aliens to arrive with a spotlight that they have managed to borrow from the airport where Roger works. Roger dresses as an alien and is lowered into the ground while the crowd is blinded. And Roger is to give a speech that the only way to prevent an alien attack is to go home and leave the Rockmores in peace. Unfortunately, during this process, Kel grabs for some orange soda as he's kind of letting Roger down on some rope. Kenan, Kel, and Roger all collapse onto each other. Roger's makeup comes off in his hands. The crowd run after Kenan, and Rob Renner and the government acquire Roger for analysis. Back on stage, and they talk about all the crazy stuff that happened today. It's revealed that Roger is okay now, but he responds to hearing a bell by jumping on a table and saying he's Zoltar from the planet Plith.
That is quite the book for a young child to read.
That final quarter, that final 30 pages or so, it really kind of goes off the rails.
Yeah, it's like a creative writing exercise that turned into a young children's book. It's like, okay, what if we put Kenan and Kel together with these aliens and then involve the government
Yeah.
and see what happens?
I like the idea of him, Kenan and Kel, teaming up with Roger. It's something that you don't see a lot. A couple times, like in Oh Brother. They they get that going on, so it's cool to see that. But yeah, seems to have all the staples of a Kenan and Kel adventure with that extra level.
Completely agree.
I would have liked to see parts of this episode if it was condensed. The book just seems like it kind of just kept going and didn't know where it was headed.
I think that's fair. Again, it's kind of a trend with these. The first third or so tends to be quite entertaining and plausible as a Kenan and Kel episode. To pad it out to the 120 pages of prose, they often go to some places they don't really need to go.
That second act gets really meaty.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to do Kel Got Game next, if you don't mind, Wesley.
That works for me.
If you have it there, let's do a little performance for Aaron of this intro bits. Not the whole thing, but the.
I'm in for a treat.
Yeah, you be Kel, I'll be Kenan.
Sounds good.
And we're gonna start page 1. Hey Kenan, that makes me wonder. Is your line?
Hey Kenan, that makes me wonder.
What does it make you wonder, Kel?
If no one was reading this right now, would we still be here?
I don't know, Kel. That's actually a very good question. Let's find out.
But Kenan, how do you find out? I mean, what if we disappear and never come back?
Hey, you. Yeah, that's right. You're reading the book right now. Don't look around. Of course I'm talking to you. How many people are reading this right now?
Kenan, it's okay, really. We don't.
Kel, don't be so rude. Can't you see I'm talking to the reader right now? Sorry for the interruption, reader. Now listen, we need you to do us a favor. Kind of an experiment. We need you to shut the book and then open it back up. That way we'll see whether or not we're still here when no one is reading. So go ahead and close the book now. I say close the book. Look, buddy, we're not going to go on with the rest of the story unless you cooperate. So if you ever want to get past this open, you better close the book right now. I mean it. I'm not kidding. Oh, that's better. Oh, good. You're back. Hey, thanks for your help. So, Kel, what do you think? Were we still here when no one was reading?
It was hard to tell. It was so dark in here, and you know that I'm afraid of the dark. Why'd you have to play games with my emotions like that?
Well, Kel, if you like games, then we have quite the fun-filled book in store for you today.
Really? I get to play games?
That's right.
What games do I get to play?
If you want to find that out, then read on. Now come along, Scary.
Kenan, do you really think I'm scary? Kenan, do I get to play Duck Duck Goose? I like that game. Kenan, where are you always running off to? Kenan? Oh, here it goes.
Wow. What a philosophical quandary. If Kenan and Kel have a story written down in a book, but nobody reads it, are they alive?
Now, to me, that is a perfect meta Kenan and Kel opening inside a book. That is exactly what you want from this. And I think it speaks to the strength of the format.
Agreed, totally. It works really well. And part of that, the key is that it's all dialogue. Like, we read every word there. It's definitely the prose where things get hairy.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I felt like I could envision it happening. I could envision the 90s wardrobe.
And how much of that is down to Adam and I's, performance?
Our readings, yeah.
Mostly. I mean, yes, absolutely. The only thing that was missing was a description of their garb.
Oh, there's nothing like that in here. I guess it's up to the imagination.
That's true.
I imagine Kel and Kenan having like a fireman's outfit between them. Like one has like the big jacket, the other's got suspenders. And, but they're like neon green. You get it.
I want the zigzag shirt. I want the zigzag shirt to be here. Oh, look, I closed my eyes and there it is.
So, Wesley, can you take us through Kel Got Game, but maybe like 75% faster?
Absolutely. I think I can achieve that. Hey, the people out there reading this, they're not going to be paying $30, $50 for these books. I just want to give them the best bang for their buck, right?
Well, you're absolutely right, and I have to say, like, when Kenan was saying, like, how many people are reading this book right now? I was like, they never would have thought that 2 people were reading it at the same time.
I don't know if the stars have ever aligned and 2 people read that same passage in the same moment.
And now it's captured and it will be on the internet forever.
Yeah, true.
It's hilarious. Only the first 2 Kenan and Kel books, so the 2 novelizations, were published in the UK. From what I gather, they sold incredibly poorly, hence the lack of follow-ups published here. So all of my copies are from the US as well.
There's like 150 sold.
One of the first 2, a bit of a digression here, is a library copy. And it's stamped in the front. It was borrowed 5 times from this library across 3 years. I guess it could be worse.
Yeah, I've got a couple of those too with that little 1999 on the stamp.
I love it.
I can't wait until I'm digging through an old children's library one day and I just find a dusty copy of a lost book.
If you find it, it's probably worth a chunk of change. These copies cost me probably around $10 a piece.
Yeah,
Good Burger 2 Go was like 20 or something like that. And that was a steal. That thing's going for a lot right now with the new movie. I'm a victim of my own crime. Making this podcast has surely made the Kenan Kel
it's
books
the only
popular.
explanation.
Yeah, we start talking about Good Burger to Go and what that might mean, and people are like, "Well,
I gotta find out."
Kel Got Game?
Kel Got Game.
Let's roll. So Kenan and Kel playing basketball, not very successfully. Kel misses a layup thrown by Kenan. A couple of nearby basketball thugs who happen to be great. I say basketball thugs. That's the phrase that's used in the book. I mean, I don't know that that's a thing. I would say they are thugs and also basketball players. Named Billy and Brian McThunk nearby. They taunt Kenan and Kel, and foolishly Kel challenges them to a match, which Kenan and Kel lose terribly. Within 6 minutes, they're down 20 to nothing. Ooh. Out of rage and embarrassment, Kenan challenges them to a rematch for a week later, and the forfeit will be to wear a Big Loser t-shirt for a week. The worst punishment imaginable. They practice. They're not successful to begin with. Another kid called Red happens to roll a basketball towards Kel at one point. Kel tosses the ball back all the way down the court, and it goes straight through the net at the other end of the court. He's able to replicate this feat several times. It turns out Kel is terrible at shooting hoops when he's only a few meters from the hoop, but actually, if he's more than half a court away, he can manage it.
Oh my god!
Just one of those crazy Kel things. Hashtag just Kel things.
Oh man! Wow.
I will say too, this would be tough to capture on stage. This is an event that is, for the scope of a book, well done.
Totally agree, yeah. Kenan realizes that, they could be onto a winner here. They continue to practice back at Rigby's with melons and a trash can mounted on the door, much to Chris's chagrin. Back at home, Cheryl has bought Bulls tickets for her and Roger. At the same time as this is kind of playing out, Kenan and Kel are playing the McThunks. It starts badly and they're down 9-0. But Kel is able to fumble and distract the McThunks. They get their opportunity. They manage to make the most of it. Kel downs a few balls and they win.
Hey!
Hooray! Later on, they see on TV that tomorrow is Chicago Bulls versus Orlando Magic, and there's a $5,000. Yep, it's $5,000 again, guys. I sense a theme. Half-court free throw shot for 5 lucky members of the public. Kenan realizes Roger has tickets. He tries to get tickets from them by doing good deeds. Ends badly. He tries to cook. He ends up microwaving a hamburger and causes a power surge. Kel tries to give Roger a back massage. Ends terribly. Kenan actually gets grounded. He does so badly at trying to be a good son. But it doesn't stop them. They head out to the Bulls game the next day. Kenan and Kel get in disguise. Kel in a white-faced clown outfit and his dad's extra strong glasses, which make him rather blind. Indeed, he's so blind that he makes so much noise hiding in Kenan's bedroom that Roger and Cheryl, who had just headed out for the evening, come back up and Kel has to be shoved out of the window. It's not going well for him so far. Roger and Cheryl are just off to the Bulls game themselves. They get a phone call. Aunt Bertha has eaten some bad bologna. Her face is puffed up like a blowfish. Suddenly, they can't go. They must head to look after Aunt Bertha immediately.
Love these callbacks to the stuff that's happening here. Kenan plus microwave equals bad. We know that from Turkey Day.
Yep.
Kel is terrible at giving Roger massages.
Callbacks, inspiration. I mean, you can really visualize a lot of these things happening in the show, partially because some of them did sort of happen in the show, and I do find that kind of enhances the authenticity, and moments like that make it feel more like it's a Kenan and Kel book, rather than just a story that could be happening to anyone. Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I can picture Kenan's room and Kel falling out the window.
Kenan and Kel cycle to the arena. They've obviously Roger and Cheryl are no longer able to go because of Aunt Bertha, and Kenan, through conversation, discovers their tickets are waiting at the box office. So they go to the arena, they go to pick up the tickets, but oh no, Roger and Cheryl are there after all. Aunt Bertha has rapidly unpuffed. We don't get any more explanation than that.
Depuffed. Bad baloney. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
Oh boy. So they try to get in anyway. They try to break past the security guard. They say their parents have got their tickets. They say that they're surgeons there to do an emergency spinectomy. They say that
the excuses too, the great excuses.
Some good
from Kenan,
excuses.
as always.
They claim they're there to deliver pizza, and then the guy opens the boxes. They're completely empty. I mean, it's a fun time. It's a very believable scene. They finally get in by offering to relieve the duties of a different security guard. Kel makes the mistake, however, of discovering that security drinks free at this particular arena and downs 20 cups of orange soda quick sharp. Shortly after this, turns out the drinks vendor who's given Kel all of these sodas happens to be the uncle of the McThunks who we met at the beginning of the story. Oh no, the McThunks come by and they reveal who Kenan and Kel really are. They explain they're not security at all. Kenan and Kel don't want to face the ire of this drinks vendor, so they go to hide in the toilets. Just as the halftime rush is happening, the seats of the lucky half-court throwers are announced, and wouldn't luck have it, Roger's seat is one of them. So Kenan realizes this. He bribes an employee to tell Roger that there's a phone call for him, a television emergency, and then traps him in the broom closet and nabs his ticket.
A television emergency.
Yep. So they get his ticket. Kel gets to the court, but he really needs the bathroom after all that orange soda. And the sponsorship references to gushing fountains, bottled water aren't helping. Meanwhile, Cheryl discovers Kenan, and the McThunks are still in pursuit. Everyone's crowding in. They start to come after Kel. At the moment of Kel's shot, he's just about to make it. He tosses the ball in the air and decides he has to rush to the toilet instead, throwing his chance. It hits a newly escaped Roger's head. The end.
Okay. I really appreciate that whole series of events. It's like, how much can you complicate a half-court throw?
Thus far, of the stories I know, that seems to be like a winner, like a standout. This
is my favorite of all the books.
Excellent.
Yeah. That's a great story. Roger gets hit in the head. Good callbacks. It's definitely in the Kenan and Kel universe.
Except it's at a setting that you could only have in a book, like the Bulls Stadium. Like, even just for advertising, like, and imagery purposes, they would never be able to do that on the show.
Right. But there was enough Bulls storylines in Kenan and Kel where it also feels like it fits.
Yeah.
There's enough, Michael Jordan references and Ron Harper episodes.
Yeah, what if they saw Ron Harper and he was like, "Oh, not you guys again."
He's like, no, go away.
Yeah, no, it really feels in universe, and it's probably the funniest of the stories because you can genuinely imagine all of this happening to Kenan and Kel.
What about the crazy side characters? Any notable ones in this?
The McThunks.
McThunks are the ones.
There's no like standard bully in Kenan and Kel, so I like the idea of like a pair of them to match the pair Kenan and Kel.
Basketball thugs. Weren't there basketball thugs in the one, the Ron Harper episode?
In the intro, there are.
The intro and outro, right? They come back in the outro, and then Ron Harper's there to back them up.
Mm-hmm. Scares them off. So, yeah, no, it fits. Maybe those are the McThunks.
I appreciate your storytelling here, Wesley. You are doing an excellent job helping me feel like I'm not missing any Kenan and Kel lore. I really feel like this is like hidden gems right now.
You deserve to have heard everything that's ever happened to Kenan and Kel in any form without reading 600 pages of it,
Wesley, this is kind of your gift back to us, it feels, in a way. Like, we did the podcast, and now you've got like a personal podcast for us.
Oh man, there's got to be Kenan and Kel fans out there who, have no desire to spend money on these books or just can't face putting themselves through it. And it's for you guys, it's for them.
All right, do you want a breather for me to recap the one I did read?
Let's roll with it. I'll jump in if I've got anything exciting to say. I doubt I will.
Please do, because the one that I read was Summer Vacation.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, it has a lot of the same beats as their traveling adventure in our main series, Two Heads Are Better Than None.
Yes.
I had a feeling it would.
Yeah. And I definitely feel, especially after hearing about Kel got game, that I chose poorly. Because some of the elements that I wanted represented, such as Chris, are not present in this book. So the book starts off with Kenan and Kel's parents are doing a road trip. Roger has a big ol' RV that they're going to take from Chicago to Washington, D.C. to see some sights, and then go down to Florida for Cheryl's mother's birthday, Kenan's grandmother. En route, same beat as the Two Heads Are Better Than None. Roger does not want Kel to come along, so Kel stows away within one of the cupboards. And then what is it that reveals him, Wesley? Do you recall?
I don't recall.
They hit a bump. He pops out, goes crazy, knocks over some dishes.
It's interesting, though, because I believe this book was published before Two Heads Are Better Than None aired, right?
It was. So I wonder how much of Two Heads is from this book.
I was about to ask. That's really interesting. Okay.
So Kenan and Kel are kind of soft-grounded as they travel to Washington, D.C. And there they do all kinds of, like, little bits. They decide to climb up the stairs of the Washington Monument. And they have oh, God, I can't go on any further. And an old couple like passes them, and they're on like the first story of it.
Yep. Checks out.
Yeah. Classic, yeah.
Classic bit. They go to the Lincoln Memorial, where they see a sleeping trucker who's hanging out at the feet of the statue. They have a long day exploring the town. They go back to the RV, hop in the back, take a nap as their parents drive off. Although it's not their parents driving off, it's some elderly couple. They got into the wrong RV.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah,
That's funny.
there's a scene of them like coming out, and like Kel comes down. It's like, hey, what are you guys doing here? And they freak out. They almost drive off the road. I think they get kicked out. The old man tries to do fisticuffs with them.
Yeah.
And they get abandoned on the side of the road. In comes the trucker that they met at the Lincoln Memorial. It's like, oh, hey, do you have any details about this character? Because he's
Leo Bloom is his name. That's
Leo Bloom.
And honestly, when he's introduced, you know that he's going to have to become relevant later because he is so completely pointless otherwise. He contributes nothing to the scene where they're in DC. It's just some dude, like
Leo Bloom.
Leo Bloom.
Is this a mix of Leonardo DiCaprio and Orlando Bloom?
Hey,
possibly.
I like it. Yeah, that could be it.
This beautiful sleeping truck driver.
Yeah, Steve was trying to stunt cast for this role. But yeah, Sleepy is his major characteristic, and at some point when he's driving them, he falls asleep at the wheel, and they have to very dangerously wake him up and bring him to their attention.
Why is he so sleepy?
I'm not sure. His cargo is funny enough something that is very caffeinated. A large sum of orange soda is what he's moving about.
I don't understand the sleepy driver, but I'm just going to accept it. I think there's nothing I can do about it at this point.
I think Kenan and Kel, after their encounter with the elderly couple, are so beat up and tired. What they do is they fall asleep. They miss Leo's truck stop, his stop that he makes with his delivery, which is, what is this, the orange soda amusement park or some kind of.
That's it. It's Wavy Lion Orange Soda Factory, I believe. Yeah. And it's got orange soda slides and things outside, and it's like
a utopia, like a water park of orange soda.
It's like a south of the border, except it's orange soda.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. Wesley, do you know south of the border?
I do, yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. I have driven by it many times, and it's very scary. There's nobody there ever. It's yeah. This is the only thing I can contribute to this book. That's all I got. I am just imagining in south of the border with orange soda.
They wake up. Kel finds out that he missed out on the orange soda factory, a chance in a lifetime. And he's so upset that he throws up. In throwing up, he gets kicked off the truck.
He vomits from sheer disappointment. That's probably something we wouldn't get on the actual show as well. It's kind of.
I love that emotion. That just heartbreak. So heartbroken.
Yeah, and you can tell that Steve he has a fun time explaining this in his many prose. They go on to a diner next. Here, Kel has, they're checking their pockets for what they have. Kel barters with, a group of bikers. He has, a plastic penguin that the head biker loves. His name's Bubba. He's all about this penguin. He's like, oh yeah, we'll give you a ride to Florida, no problem. And they go outside, they're celebrating. They knock over the big line of bikes. So Bubba and his crew, which I think they're called Aunt Ethel's gang.
That's right, and he thinks his Aunt Ethel would like this plastic penguin, and the whole troop are named after his Aunt Ethel. It's a whole thing. It's not that much funnier when you read it as it is when we recap it, to be honest.
But I'm thinking of the plastic penguin. Wasn't there? What was the game?
Penguin Hunter.
Penguin Hunter, right? And
yeah,
then this thing with this biker stunt of knocking over the bikes happened in that one episode, right?
Yeah, they had a group of bikers chase him down in the Girl Watchers.
Right? Didn't they knock over the bikes, or am I imagining that?
It's a common trope. I don't think they did the episode. Well, they don't have the budget for 12 bikes.
Okay. Yeah. What's that thing? I'm remembering it wrong. Yeah.
It's an Onward. That's a recent memory that occurs, but it's a trope.
Onward, like the animated
the Pixar movie.
You think I'm getting Onward and Kenan and Kel mixed up?
No, I'm just throwing out there times
What
it
kind of
happened.
average Joe do you think I am? I'm offended. All right, please continue. Carry on.
The bikers chase them onto a moving train that they hop aboard.
Good.
And it's a fun bit where they like dangerously like climb aboard the train, and then Kenan pulls up Kel and like, yeah, we did it. Then it stops at the station that's like like 100 feet away.
Yeah, it is fun. It's a classic moment. You do sort of see it coming, but it's very Kenan Kel, and again, it's the kind of thing that would be difficult to replicate on screen.
Right.
Kenan and Kel, from this encounter, try to take the train to Florida. They stow away on someone's luggage and get there, but there's a scene with the ticket guy, the guy that stamps the tickets, and this is another excerpt I like to read to you because I think it's just perfect dialogue. This is Kenan trying to get the ticket guy to understand him. He says, Mr. Ticket Man, he began hesitantly. Sir Ticket Taker, Mr. Man. It's a funny thing about our tickets. You see, I think you're really gonna laugh, really. Kenan rubbed his face with his hands in desperate effort to stall for time. Yep, really gonna laugh. I don't know, Kenan, Kel interjected, stone-faced. You haven't said anything funny yet. So, dialogue nails it. So 100%. They get all the way to Florida. I think they get to Daytona Beach or something like that. And the guy whose luggage that they're stowing in is actually the brother of Bubba, who went down there. They get chased all the way to Grandma's house. They basically get to Grandma's house as soon as she's like about to blow out her candles. And like, yeah, we made it, haha. And the bikers like come in and ruin the day. But in the outro, it's explained that Kenan's grandmother, it was like a ninja in the way that she fought off all those bikers.
That sounds fun. That sounds fun.
It sure is something. It's probably my second favorite of the books, although that's not saying a lot. But for a bunch of the journey, it is a fun ride, and again, a lot of the antics are very Kenan and Kel. The ending's a bit anticlimactic. It's kind of just like, oh, everyone's caught up with Kenan and Kel. All of the people who Kenan and Kel have ruined the lives of along their journey find them and scene.
It's one of the things where it's like, I understand, like, Kenan and Kel in a basketball court. Like, that's fun. Kenan and Kel going on, like, very similar adventures to what happened in, like, Good Burger to Go when it comes to, like, hopping on trains and doing more action hero things. Doesn't sit with me super well.
You don't like Jack Kerouac, Kenan and Kel? That's not your favorite.
Not as much,
Kel,
no.
Not the Midwest hero you're hoping for. The funny thing is, a road trip from Chicago to Florida, like through D.C., is not a good drive.
No.
Like, there's not really much to look at. Like, that is a very boring part of the country. Like, you drive through Ohio, maybe West Virginia, and then you're just like, it's really not that exciting.
Yeah, I think they had a Washington Monument bit to do, and that's why they made the trip.
I would have loved a Washington Monument I Love Brian
moment.
Throw it in there in the middle.
In medias res, start them off in Washington. Like, don't even explain the terrible trip getting there. Kenan meets a girl, has to declare his love to her.
Yeah. You know what I'm thinking based off of those first two $5,000 tropes in the books? I'm thinking that the contest episode, was that written by Steve Holland?
I'll double check. I don't believe so.
Because I feel like the contest is almost the same kind of thing, where it tries to do, like, because that was the reason I didn't like that episode. It tried to do too much.
It's a medley of things happen. There's not one continuous story. It's not like Screwing the Tuna, where you follow one story the whole time. There's all these little bits. Like, there's a bit in that one where, like, Kenan's parents, like, call the sheriff, and there's a little exchange there. All these cutaways and other pieces.
A bunch of secondary characters that, are really kind of just there for Steve Holland to, like, paint entertaining, funny portrayals of, weirdos and outcasts, rather than...
There's a guy on the train that his thing was he had a giant nose.
Right, yeah.
And that's it.
That was his defining...
characteristic.
Defining
fully like his his inner dialogue is like, man, I wonder if this happens to people with regular sized noses. Like that's nearly word for word out of the book. So Aaron, the Steve Holland episodes, he was known as the Mark Cram guy. Like, you know, he introduced the character, and I think it makes sense. He's on par with a lot of these folk. But he had A Star Is Peeved, To Catch a Thief, House Sitter, Happy B-Day Mark, He Got Job, Corporate Kenan, and Girl Watchers. So, hey, Girl Watchers being chased by a bunch of bikers.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah, right. And, okay.
Corporate Kenan is also, like, it's a big environment. It's like a big swing. It almost feels like it could be one of these books.
Yeah, right. I would like Dim Sum
Enterprises.
Enterprises to exist in different, a different medium.
I think we're making pretty good time here. Wesley, would you like to tell us about FranKELstein?
FranKELstein. So
Okay,
this
I
is
need
one.
this one. Wesley, by the way, sorry, I'm going to cut you off. I need this one. Okay, I need to know what is going on here.
I mean,
This is the one that
This is
I was
the one
unable to
that-
buy. It's not purchasable anymore. There's only one copy that I know of, and he's holding it right now.
oh boy.
Look at that, man. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
The cover makes it look.
They got like the little green accents. Yeah, the green shirt, and Kel's got the green hat. Man.
It makes it look more exciting than it actually is. So, I've been kind of ranking them as we go. This is my least favorite of the books, and I'd probably say it's not even close. Oh boy. The opening in front of the stage warns of scary content and tells you which pages to avoid if you don't want to witness any scary content. It ends up ruling out all of them except one, which apparently has some funny jokes on it. Although, to be honest, I did double check that page and it's not particularly funny. So Kenan Kel are watching a blood-sucking freaks movie marathon. Roger gets involved too. He likes the Circus Freaks sequel the best. They go to sleep scared.
Oh yeah.
Kel especially. Kel dreams.
Yeah, dream sequence.
Dream
yeah.
sequence. This is a goddamn
The
dream
whole
book.
tale.
I mean, yeah.
No way.
It's funny, we've seen those elements in the show, like very minorly. Like Kenan Kel gets scared, Kenan Kel watched like bloody content, and they daydream. So now it's all coming together in a book.
It's this book is kind of like a dream sequence, but extended to like the length of the episode Futurama, like that kind of.
Nice, very cool.
Kel dreams. Chris is down at Rigby's experimenting on Kel, FranKELstein style. Quote unquote, I've used his body to create an evil super creature. Such a Chris line, right?
That's amazing. I could just picture him in the back with like all the lights dimmed except like that one like light that he pulls over the table.
Right.
You know, just like the creaky one with the bright bulb.
Exactly.
Personally, I more associate Chris with magic than science fiction.
Adam, science is
But-
the magic we don't understand.
That's true. I do not understand the workings of
Is
Frankenstein.
that how that quote goes? What's that?
It sounds close enough to me.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, this FranKELstein, forgive me if I forget to refer to him as that the whole way through.
That's fine.
Has metal bolts, is 7 foot tall and scarred. He wakes, escapes, walks directly through the wall looking for orange soda. It's all he can think about. He stumbles across the house of one Theodore Knutson, an orange soda taster. This character named Theodore, his entire life's work is to check every single bottle of orange soda for flavor, bubbliness, and color.
Wow.
I like to think that this is Kel's dream job,
I mean-
and that's why it's made it to subconscious.
Wow,
Serious.
it's like a food critic, except he goes to different restaurants and like tries the orange soda. Except this one is
Yeah.
every bottle.
Every bottle of orange soda, yeah.
Aaron, I thought that was just us collecting Fanta bottles from around the world.
Wow, yes, that is part of our objective.
Oh man, hey, I got to get you guys a full set of Fanta cans from the UK, you know.
Oh, please do. Yes, we'll pay for shipping.
I hope they're not imported from the U.S. because that'd just be that'd be real funny.
Can I see that can? Can I see that can, Wesley? Hold up that
You
can.
can, yeah.
Oh, you got a little two-tone action. Oh, zero sugar.
It's a zero sugar.
Nice.
From
Whoa.
what I gather, online, UK Fanta is actually, even the sugary one is nothing like US Fanta. It's much less sugary.
I would understand that.
No.
I flew through Amsterdam, and that orange soda was like yellow.
Yeah, this is it's a can, so I can't easily show you. But yeah, it's yellow,
Like
not
an
orange.
orange
Yeah.
soda one.
Okay.
Okay, or like an orange juice almost. Yeah.
Yeah, orange has different like weights in different countries.
Yeah. Right.
Like all the sugar content makes ours like really neon colored.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yes. It glows in the dark. That's how we like it.
Yeah. It powers undead creations, apparently.
Yeah, apparently so. So Theodore wakes in the middle of the night, thirsty for orange soda. He doesn't get enough of that during his day job. He heads downstairs, and unfortunately, the orange soda flag that he flies outside his house has lured Kel. And Kel is downstairs, having just finished ransacking his supply. Kel breaks through walls to escape, and asks Theodore for the directions to the orange soda factory as he leaves. Kenan's asking Chris what on earth he was thinking. Chris explains he just wanted a mindless foot soldier in his plan for world domination. Kenan deduces that Kel's probably going to head to the factory. He and Chris head there. Meanwhile, townsfolk follow Kel with torches, again, quote unquote, even though that only happens in movies, because he's been destroying so many of their houses in the middle of the night on his rampage. At the Wavy Lion Orange Soda Factory, Chris and Kenan come up with a plan. Helicopters which will drop a net over him to capture him. Kenan directs the helicopters to drop a net, but Kel breaks through. Kel starts to climb the bottle-shaped building that is the centerpiece of this factory. Kenan tries to persuade the townsfolk to let Kel be. They're there with their torches and pitchforks. Just go home. We'll get Kel down. Nothing's going to happen. He's going to be safe. But the helicopters continue to pursue Kel aggressively until he falls down from the bottle and wakes up.
So we do some King Kong in the middle.
It's orange soda, FranKELstein, King Kong, but that's the end. He wakes up. That's not the end of the book. That's the end of part 1 of the book. That's Kel's dream. He wakes up. He falls back to sleep, but he heads back to the same dream, and he's disappointed. Then we cut back to Kenan. Kenan awakens. Well, awakens. It's 3:30 in the morning. He sees the Crams moving outside. So Steve Holland, Cram guy.
Yeah.
Finally, they get
He
their
knows his
representation.
Crams.
Wow.
Yeah.
They appear to be unloading a coffin. Mark is wearing a cape and waves at Kenan. Kenan starts to think, vampires? Mark comes to visit the next day. Turns out all that was happening was they were helping their night owl uncle move in. He sleeps all day, he only gets up at night, and he just happened to need to move into their house. Mark, which is interestingly spelt Mark with a K at several points, like someone didn't properly kind of copy edit it.
Like proofread it.
Yeah.
Well, this was written back in those typewriter days. Like, there's no Microsoft
way.
Word happening
Come on, they had word processors. The late 90s.
They would type KLK, then Kenan looks like Kel.
Yeah.
We know.
So Mark comes around the next day. He invites Kenan Kel to dinner. They head round reluctantly. Naturally, Mark's uncle is there. He's just moved in. Guess what? His name is Vlad. He's from Transylvania. He doesn't like garlic. He likes to eat raw meat. And he tries to bite Kenan with his fangs. Kenan Kel just about escape, but soon after, Chicago becomes Vampireville. Rigby's becomes Vampire Grocery and Blood Bank. Everything's shut during the daytime. And it becomes clear that Vlad has been in just about everyone in town. Roger comes home. He's acquired a coffin. He's purchased it from Vlad. And as he turns, Kenan spots the vampire bite marks on his neck. Oh boy, this is bad news.
Vlad is a consumerist vampire. He's peddling coffins.
I love his empire. He's like,
all around Chicago.
Yeah. I'm taking over this town, you see?
Oh man, yeah, I love
Nobody's gonna die now thinking of Vlad.
So Kenan and Kel resolve to kill the head vampire, Vlad, get Chicago back to normal. They break into the Cram's house during the daytime. Everyone's asleep in the daytime nowadays. They find a picture of Vlad dated 1792, but no coffin or Vlad until Kel removes a book from the bookcase about the history of orange soda, and bada bing, bada boom, turns around. We get access to a secret kind of set of stairs heading down to a basement, or rather an underground cavern, I guess you would say. Everyone in town is residing down there. I say residing, sleeping down there as a vampire. Vlad, Mark, Chris, Kenan's family, there's hordes of them. They all wake up as it's sunset without Kenan and Kel realizing the sun has set. They close in on Kenan and Kel, and Kenan wakes up again. Turns out it was a dream. He approaches Kel, who leaps up at him with a snarl, all fangs and red eyes, and then Kenan wakes up again, and it's finally the end of the book. So, you know, double fake out there. Fun time.
I don't know what you guys, but that has actually happened to me before in a dream. Where I dreamt that I woke up, I went to the bathroom, there's a vampire in there, then I woke up again.
Wow.
Oh, man.
So I believe that.
I guess
Although,
Steve is maybe speaking from personal experience. And
yeah.
in the final kind of outro bit on stage, Kel reveals that he's never going to sleep again, and he's invented a contraption that slaps him every time he closes his eyes. So there we go.
It's pleasant, and that feels terrifying.
I will say, horror anthology is usually a hard nut to crack, because oftentimes you can just end it whenever you feel like it, the story. Like, it's like, oh, the scariest part, that's the end. Like you wake up.
Yep.
So it's hard to land a third act in any kind of those stories.
Yeah, and also like the daybreak is also a way that those stories end. Like the waking up, right? Like the sun coming up, the scary night's over.
I will say the size of the story sounded a little bit more digestible, because it is not taking the whole book to tell one.
That's right, yeah. I mean, this is the shortest book of all of them. It has the fewest pages and the biggest print. It has a bigger font than any of the others. It's 26 lines a page instead of 28 or 34 in the others. It's 114 pages. Like, I mean, you know, we're really talking very condensed stuff here. And yeah, you know, ultimately each of those individual tales is like 47 or 48 pages long. So there's not so much time to go off the rails. That said, I found that one a struggle to get through. There's a lot of prose which doesn't help because of the horror elements. There's relatively little dialogue, and the dialogue is often not funny because Steve's kind of trying to heighten the tension a little bit, which doesn't really work that well within the Kenan and Kel universe a lot of the time. And, you know, to be honest, I mean, even to an 8-year-old, surely it's obvious that these are dreams, like, on every occasion. So.
Yeah, they set the stage pretty well. I can't imagine a kid picking this off the shelf instead of the, like, Goosebumps next door.
Right, I can't imagine me picking up on the shelf over the Goosebumps next door. So, yeah.
I bet I'm going to start going to yard sales and just looking for this book. I really want to find it.
You want to have it.
I need it. I really like the Chris evil scientist, and I'm upset that it only was it seemed like for a couple pages.
Yeah, that stuff kind of went past pretty quickly. I start to wonder if Steve Holland kind of had something against the character of Chris, because in this book he's not portrayed particularly positively, and also in the final book that we're going to discuss in a minute, Westward Woe, Chris's analog in that is also not a particularly pleasant character.
Huh.
Well, before we leave FranKELstein behind, I would like to thank it, because it's the reason why we're all talking here today.
You bet.
Because I saw it on Goodreads, and I asked one of the 3 people that reviewed it, like, hey, where did you get your copy? And one of those people was Wesley.
I'm thrilled for that too, and I've got to know, did those other 2 people reply to you, or is it just fate that I'm here?
Just no one has ever said anything about that. It's some miracle that you did. So that I think it speaks to your character.
Well, thank you.
And you even offered I'll take pictures or scan it to you.
I was happy to scan it for you or whatever. I mean, to be honest, that would have been more of a punishment than a gift, but
yeah. Here's the plan. Why don't you come on the podcast, help us out with a few things along the way, and then in 2 years' time you can read it to us.
Exactly.
I want to read Wesley's review. I'm trying to pull it up.
Did I actually review it, or did I just give it a star rating? I might have just.
I think it's just a star rating.
So
Okay.
You might be disappointed there. I think I gave it 2 stars, which feels generous.
You are one person who gave it 2 stars. There are 2 people who gave it 5 stars. So you.
I
might
knew
be
that
the
they
only-
weren't the real fans. Like no one,
Yeah,
no one seeks out a Kenan and Kel book and gives it 2 stars without having something to say.
Steve Holland has 86 books.
Holy cow.
He did a lot of writing this time. They don't take long to read, so you have to imagine they can't take long to write.
Right. He never gave up.
All right, let's go west and one final outing here with Westward. Whoa!
Just the name of this and the cover art gives me a very Cousin Skeeter.
I was very wary of that myself, but the quick flip through I had of it, I was happily surprised by some of the events that occur. Wesley, is this the middle of your list by my calc?
You're right. This and Aliens are the kind of the 2 that I think are acceptable. We open on a very vivid description of Roger being dressed as a disco horror, replete with shiny gold pants and rhinestones galore. Turns out what's happening is Roger and Cheryl and Kenan and Kyra are packing for a garage sale. Kel misinterprets, thinks they're having to sell their garage because they're so poor. Kel comes to assist. He's dropping boxes through the kind of open hole in the attic or the loft down onto the floor below. He drops the box onto Roger's head. Yeah, classic.
Hit Roger in the head.
Kenan discovers an old metal crate amongst all the junk. Kel thinks it'll be a portal to zombie clowns, but actually it just turns out to be an old family album. One photo looks a lot like Kenan, though, albeit in a cowboy hat and with a shiny star on his jacket.
Ooh.
Could this be some kind of great grandfather?
Turns out, yes, it is, according to Roger. It's the first ever African-American sheriff, Kenan's great-great-great-grandfather. Sit down, kids, and I'll tell you a tale, says Roger. We go back to 1842, the town of Big Spit in the heart of the Old West, and we're at Old Man Potter's General Store, home to Pig's Feet Surprise and stinky Old Man Potter himself. Yes, Old Man Potter's distinguishing characteristic is that he smells really, really bad.
I just want to say that I love this because this was one of my pitches for, like, if they had more episodes of Kenan and Kel, what they would do. It's like, I want to see them in, like, a Western setting. And little did I know that sitting on my shelf was a book that described just this.
Exactly, dead on. I think after reading it or skimming it, you're probably glad that they didn't head to that well for the series. But
I got my fill up.
I personally like the idea of ancestry making its way into the Kenan and Kel universe. I mean, you can go a pretty long ways back with family. So
yeah.
That's true.
I just love the Futurama energy. Just you go different time frame, different setting. They're medieval knights, but it's Kenan and Kel.
Kenan the grocer is working at Old Man Potter's general store. He moved to town a year ago. Cowboy Kel, a native, is his best friend. Old Man Potter bears news. Johnny the middle-aged guy has challenged Sheriff. The second sheriff is spelled with 2 R's, to a duel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a.
He used to be Johnny the Kid, right? And then he got older and older.
That's right. He used to be Johnny the Kid. That's why he's Johnny the middle-aged guy. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Current mayor Phineas T. Blump, another classic grotesque from Steve Holland there, is feeling unappreciated. His own mother prefers Sheriff to him.
Oh.
We know that this guy Phineas T. Blump and his mother will become important later. So Johnny, the middle-aged guy, and Sheriff have a duel. They have to both draw a gun as quickly as possible. Turns out in Big Spit, to draw a gun literally means to draw a gun on a piece of paper. It's a battle of drawing quickly.
In Big Spit.
It's a good bit.
We meet a new character, Big Mean Daddy.
Ooh.
He is very much a Roger analog.
Yeah, I was gonna say a Roger type.
Yep. He hates pickles. That's his distinguishing characteristic. His
Boy,
daddy was trying to open a jar of them once upon a time and set the house on fire. He's harbored a lifelong resentment towards pickles.
Talk about trauma.
It's really funny when you recap it really quickly, I have to say. But this is a whole paragraph here. A whole chapter will be talking about Big Mean Daddy's story in the most unfunny way.
Big Mean Daddy. Oh my gosh.
Oh boy. So Kel's hanging out at the store. Enjoying orange-flavored water. That's his beverage of choice in this particular era.
Like dirty water.
Oh boy. Kel's playing a name-guessing game when Big Mean Daddy, who Kenan spots on a wanted poster in the store, enters the store. Kel accurately guesses his name, Frank. Big Mean Daddy's not happy and destroys the pickles that Kel offers him as a peace offering.
I could imagine Kenan's face when he's looking at the
wanted poster.
Right. He's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's some real I'm going to get you Kenan energy here.
Yeah.
Big Mean Daddy doesn't just stop at the pickles, he destroys Old Man Potter's entire store. So Kenan hatches a plan to lure Big Mean Daddy into a trap and get the sheriff to arrest him. Unfortunately, turns out Sheriff is a bad guy, in cahoots with Big Mean Daddy. His plan to become mayor is actually part of a wider, grander scheme for Big Mean Daddy to gain power over the town of Big Spit. Kenan and Kel discuss their plan to capture him. They head over to the sheriff to discuss the issues they've had with Big Mean Daddy. Unfortunately, Kel's drunk too much orange-flavored water, another theme, and needs the bathroom. While he's searching for the bathroom, he actually stumbles upon Big Mean Daddy, starts to question why he's there, and Big Mean Daddy carts him away. Kenan has recounted his plan to the sheriff, involving luring Big Mean Daddy with a pickle sale sign. So Big Mean Daddy comes along, wants to kind of wreak vengeance against the pickle sale, and then the sheriff can arrest him. Sheriff listens intently and then sends Kenan on his way. And Kenan realizes once he's left that, Kel's not with me anymore. Turns out Kel's been taken to a cave and tortured with Big Mean Daddy's bad guitar playing and singing. He sings a song entitled "Things That Make Me Barf."
I like the Roger guitar still holding out here.
Right.
I'm gonna pull out my Who Loves Orange Soda mug briefly, and serenade you with my. That's all I got.
I'm glad we have a musical interlude 90% of the way through this episode.
If you could come up on the fly with some lyrics about things that make you barf, that would really just enhance the experience that little bit more.
Oh, I'm so sad. I miss the museum. The Orange Soda Museum. I wanna barf.
That's real good. That's an exceptional.
I love that, man. That is good stuff.
I'm really trying to harness my harmonica this summer.
Musical improv is great. Aaron, you should pull that out more often in this.
I really should have.
Going forward,
3 years
up until Good Burger 2 Day, you should whip that out every now and then.
I should start learning how to play it instead of just blowing into it.
No, I think that worked really well.
Oh, great, Wesley. Thank you.
So, Kenan goes to find the sheriff and tells him that Kel's missing. The sheriff takes Kenan to where Kel is being kept and tells Kenan that he will distract Big Mean Daddy while he frees Kel. Of course, Big Mean Daddy and the sheriff are in cahoots, actually. Oops. Kel has already deduced this, but he only remembers to tell Kenan when it's already too late, and Kenan's already trapped.
Oh yeah, Kenan, he's the bad guy. yeah, I get it.
So Big Mean Daddy and the sheriff are abandoned, hands tied together in the middle of the desert. Kel breaks free easily, although he still tries to undo Kenan's rope with his teeth. It would be too easy otherwise. So they journey through the desert sand, the boiling hot desert sand, back to the town. Along the way, Kel tries to drink sand. He's so thirsty.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, below the boiling hot sand that he attempts to drink, they discover the skeleton of the deputy mayor. And they realize that there have been some seriously nefarious dealings afoot here.
I feel like... never mind, keep going. I have something to say.
That's my attitude towards these entire books. It's
I think you can wait until the very end.
just keep going. Don't stop.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's like, wow, they killed him and they took all his organs and skin and everything. Just left the skeleton behind in one day. He works fast, that Big Mean Daddy.
Oh boy. So they also bump into a man with a strange metal contraption along their travels. Turns out he's invented orange soda. Wouldn't you know it, Kel falls in love.
Oh my gosh.
It's so handy that that's the first soda he would try to invent. Like, he didn't start off with like
Yeah,
a
you didn't
cola
start with just
soda or
cola
a
or-
raspberry soda. No, straight to the orange.
The origins of Kel's love for orange soda and Kenan and Kel's friendship.
So this kindly inventor realizes how thirsty they are. He takes them back to their house, quenches their thirst. They sleep. The next day is election day. They rush to the town to try and tell everyone what's going on, but it's too late. Much to Kenan's horror, the election's over and Sheriff has won. So there's a victory party, replete with liver pie. Steve Holland loves that liver. Kenan interrupts, tells the crowd Sheriff's a crook in cahoots with Big Mean Daddy. Big Mean Daddy, who's watching from high up on the local Horseshoe Superstore, another fun, unnecessary aside, vows that in the future he will sit on people to kill them rather than dragging them out into the desert and tying their hands up. Felt vaguely sexual to me, but I don't know. Kenan shows his proof to the town. His proof is the star badge from the deputy mayor that he'd found on the skeleton. The sheriff challenges Kenan to a duel. They are completing their drawing of a gun. Big Mean Daddy shoots a tooth at Kenan with a slingshot to distract him. It embeds itself in Kenan's hand, and he shows it to the crowd as proof that Big Mean Daddy has tried to distract him. It's such a weird sequence. Like, it's completely out of context. Like, it doesn't make any more sense when you're reading it.
Shoots a tooth. Does he have like a slingshot?
With a slingshot, he fires like a tooth at Kenan's hand to stop him from completing the drawing of a gun.
He has a collection of teeth from all of the people he's killed.
I mean, that's got to be it.
That's
right?
almost worse than using just a regular bullet. Like, that's.
But it's Kel spots Big Mean Daddy, sees what he's done high up on the Horseshoe factory, whatever it is, the superstore, and throws a shaken up orange soda at him to knock him to the ground.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Kenan places the sheriff under arrest and becomes the new town sheriff with the consensus of the entire town. Then we jump back to the present day. Kenan realizes the picture actually has 1968 written at the bottom of it. Cheryl realizes it looks familiar to her, as it actually just looks like a young Roger as well. And they realize Roger made the whole story up and jump on him. The end.
That's good. That's a good ending. Good ending.
That's pretty good. Although, I'm not sure why Roger made up a story where Kenan and Kel are the heroes and he's the villain.
That's a great call, actually. That's very out of character for him.
It's a fun format. I wish we saw that on the show more. Roger makes up a story. Roger tells a story. Like, we don't get into his head often, that creative space. And I also, it's hinted at the end, but I love the idea of a young Roger that goes through Kenan and Kel, like, struggles and troubles.
Who also had a best friend and
what happened to that best friend? And, you know,
moved away, and then he's been upset ever since.
I don't know why I'm suddenly interested in a Roger origin story.
I think we need one. You know, okay, so
young Roger.
What was coming to mind?
Yeah.
What was coming to mind as I was about to interrupt? I feel like these, you know, it's interesting that there's a collection of books. They're not written in any kind of sequence. It's very much like the Kenan and Kel show. It could just be any episode at any time. And I feel like that's how these books were. I don't think he ever expected anybody to read all of them. let alone adults who would talk about them on a podcast.
Right, 25 years in the future, people will be dissecting these on the internet.
Yeah.
Right.
But it is a true testament.
Steve Holland, he's a man that exists. He's very famous nowadays, but I'd love to get his thoughts on us consuming them and what, if anything, he remembers from these books.
Right.
I would like. We should definitely send it to him in an email.
Yeah, this episode, just no comments, just a link.
So here you go.
Did you ever dream of this, Steve?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So, thank you for the amazing recaps.
Wesley, truly admirable. Your
My
commitment,
pleasure.
your commitment and your knowledge. Thank you for sharing.
I thought that when we first started this program, we were the greatest fantas on the planet, but we have found someone our equal, if not better.
I bow to you guys, but I like to think I'm a pretty good runner-up.
Oh yeah, no, you've been a great resource for all kinds of stuff. Well, with the back half of the Cousin Skeeter special, like you're able to find a source that we're able to use, and just
it's my life's mission is to track down every bit of Kenan and Kel content out there. You guys and me, we're the same.
We're not so different, you and I.
We are but mere conduits of the Kenan and Kel experience. We love allowing people to, tap into the 90s and feel like the show is still alive, because it is for us. It's still alive.
100%.
We love it.
Yeah.
And we love these stories, and I can't wait till we find those other books.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that here in the our little appendix.
Yeah, so I mean, there's these two other books that were announced for publication. The covers and titles do intrigue me, I must say. So there's one called He Said, which has a big cow on the front, and the description, I mean, I'm guessing you guys have seen the brief descriptions. Shall I read those aloud too, maybe?
Yeah, go ahead.
The selling point for He Said, how exactly did Kenan and Kel end up dressed in a cow costume and hanging from the chandelier in a fancy hotel ballroom while escaped zoo animals and people ran around chaotically below them? Well, it all depends on whom you ask, as Kenan and Kel recount to their fans two separate and very different versions of what really happened. I mean, I love the idea of a Rashomon-style tale in the Kenan and Kel universe.
A bit of what do you call it? I'm gonna get you, Kenan.
Oh yes, yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Different versions, and that seems like a better direction to take a FranKELstein style book.
Yes, completely agree on that one. Completely agree. And then the other one, A Camping We Will Go, which has a bear on the front of it. Kenan and Kel take a camping trip with the Crams. In addition to singing Kurubaya around the description says Kurubaya. I'm guessing that's a transcription error and it's supposed to be Kumbaya, right? I mean, there's no way. Around the campfire and toasting marshmallows, they happen to get into, you guessed it, trouble. Kel gets everyone lost in the woods and they're left with only their wits for survival. Will they find a way back to civilization?
Which has not just notes of two heads are better than none, but also the Cousin Skeeter special. It's like a lot of elements are in that one I'm a little less interested in, but they had a release date that came and went, never went up, and according to your sources, there's that means that they were just canceled, maybe never even happened.
Yeah, a bookseller friend of mine looked them up, said they were deleted on the day that they were released, which to him would suggest that no copies ever made it to anyone's hands. I'd still love to know if they were written. I mean, if we got to the point where we had a cover and a description, I would guess that Steve Holland has these kind of these first drafts somewhere. Steve, if you're listening, man, get them to us.
Steve, if you open up your email, listen to an hour and a half of us reading over your books, please reach out to us, KenanKelPodcast@gmail.com.
We would love nothing more than to have those transcripts. We would love that. We would love that.
I don't know about you guys, but despite those missing pieces, I feel accomplished in our Kenan and Kel journey. I feel like we have gone the distance. We've uncovered just about every rock that there is out there. We've got a couple more ep ideas and some other stuff on the road to Good Burger 2. Are you excited for the movie? Wesley?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, whatever minor misgivings I might have, like new Kenan and Kel content in the year of our Lord 2023 or 2024 if post-production takes too long. I mean, yeah, I'm incredibly hyped. I'm a big movie guy in general, but I'm looking forward to this like nothing else in the last decade.
See, I said the same thing. I said I don't know if I've ever been more excited for us like a second movie.
Totally.
I think it would be great to get together, have another podcast, and after it comes out and we all digest it and do our due diligence.
Yeah, we're gonna do the Good Burger 2 reunion tour. Talk to everybody that worked on it, that was excited for it, and get all the feels out there.
Sounds great. Absolutely.
There's all kinds of other stuff coming out too. I saw a video of Kel posted about the Good Burger Mobile, and I'm just I'm getting very excited.
There's a news article out there that has a lot of details when it comes to the plot, the cast, and stuff like that. If you are that kind of fan and want to read that, I suggest I'll put a link in the description. But we're trying to keep it quiet here so that everyone has an unblemished journey.
Yes, that is the goal.
Well, again, thanks for joining us, Wesley. Is there a place that people can find yourself?
Yeah, I mean, if Twitter is still around by the time this episode is released, you can find me there at Wesley Mead. Yeah, I'm at Wesley Mead on most social media. Just Google my name, you'll find a whole bunch of my stuff. Or I have a website, wesleymead.co.uk. There's links to all my stuff there. None of it's particularly interesting, but you could go to my Goodreads account and see what star rating I gave all these books.
That's true. Wesley, while you're here, and I once again, thank you so much. But
my pleasure.
There is one burr that I must bring up. And that is about your list of greatest Christmas episodes of all time. 100 greatest Christmas episodes through TV.
Yep.
You mentioned it on our last time we had you on, and you said that Kenan and Kel was high on the list. It was on the list, Wesley, but it was not high, and I was heartbroken.
So this is a fun story. I submitted the list to Den of Geek with Kenan and Kel very high up. They rearranged it.
Oh, no way.
They had a few. They had a few specific things, like they had a few extra entries that they wanted me to include. They said their audience would expect them to be included, so I bumped a couple episodes off the bottom, moved things around to get these in, and they said, right, everything's perfect, all the text is perfect, but we want to rearrange some stuff. We think that this episode our audiences would expect to be higher, this episode they'd expect to be higher. Kenan and Kel ended up I think I had Kenan and Kel in the 30s, and it ended up in the 90s. So apologies to everyone out there. It's also been republished a couple of times, still with my name on it, but reordered. I think Den of Geek US republished it with a different order than it originally had in Den of Geek UK. So anyone out there who's been holding this against me, I first wrote that article in 2015. I'm so sorry. I put it in the 30s. It's probably really, truly in my top 10 in my heart. Please don't hold it against me.
Well, I will not, and I believe your description entirely.
I do as well. However,
this episode in general is your testament to being a Kenan and Kel lover in the greatest of sense.
Yes. Thank you so much, Wesley, for your love for Kenan and Kel, and we appreciate you very much.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure to be on with you guys again. Thank you so much for having me.
I think Wesley should do the honors and take us away. Let's hear it, Wesley.
The pressure. This is the most, throughout this whole episode, I've been this is going great. And it's all right, Wesley, say, oh, here it goes. Right, I can do it. Oh, here it goes.
Yes, well done. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron. If you want to stay in touch, send us an email at KenanKelPodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a voice message at anchor.fm/KenanKelPodcast. Our social media accounts are all at Kenan Kel Podcast. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks, everybody.